Even though much of what's happening in Afghanistan isn't making headlines now, the situation is still critical there for Americans and others attempting to leave the country. I spoke with Tori Richards with the Washington Examiner about what her sources are telling her from inside Afghanistan. You've been covering the situation in Afghanistan extensively, and even though it's not dominating the headlines as it was a few weeks ago, what can you tell us? We're hearing dire reports of Taliban rule.
Oh my gosh, it's horrible. I mean, they're back to beheading people, hunting people down, going from home to home, and just terrorizing the citizens. I mean, it's not the kinder, gentler Taliban that they had promised.
Are there still Americans in the country and allies who are still trying to get out, Tori?
Yes, there are probably thousands of Americans. No one knows exactly how many. Plenty of allies. I've been talking to a family that is desperately trying to get out because someone in that family worked for special operations under our command. And even a general who is a source of mine wrote to the State Department saying, help these people, but that doesn't really matter. They haven't gotten on a plane. So they just hear gunfire every night. They see people hung up in the square. They're just terrified, hunkered down in some home that's not even theirs because they don't want any trace coming back to them. And so then they text me almost every day saying, when is it our turn? It's just tragic.
Wow. Well, there's much concern specifically for women and children. Can they expect any freedoms under the Taliban?
No, in fact, the person that's communicating with me is an engineer, and it is the sister of the special operations soldier. And she is afraid to even go outside. She's heard of people who are females who have their phones seized when they're just on the street, and the Taliban will go through the telephone and see who's on there. One woman was arrested for having a male's phone number in there. Another woman was beaten for having music on her phone. And so this woman is a high-ranking official. She had an engineer job with electrical and roads, that type of thing. She has a college degree, but she can't go to work because they don't use women in jobs anymore. She couldn't even get a job doing driver education for buses. So she's just at home. I don't know how they're making ends meet. It's just very sad.
Do you think the Taliban will eventually become less extreme? I mean, in one of your reports, a Taliban spokesman said they don't want any internal or external enemies, yet they're a terrorist group. Can you elaborate on this?
No, and they're going to be more extreme as they're emboldened. Right after this happened with the takeover, I was sent a video by a source of someone who was beheaded. And they actually had the head on the person's body, sitting on the chest. And then they held it up by the hair, and they were chanting, praise be to God and the Taliban leader, and shooting their guns in the air. This was several weeks ago. I've had more videos and emails sent to me regarding other people that were beheaded or just slaughtered by the Taliban. So I really think it's going to be worse, unfortunately. And now that the media has kind of pulled out and they're not getting all the attention that they had before, where they, quote unquote, are kinder and gentler, I just think it's open season now.
Why do you think that the media in large part is not covering this like they used to?
I just think, first of all, I mean, half the country is Democrat, half is Republican. And for the Democrats, this is not a good situation to report from them because it's just a debacle. And for the Republicans, I just think it's really sad and horrific. There's other things going on now, like the pork crisis and our economy. So I just don't think the news cycle is just going to keep going with it, unfortunately. I really don't. I mean, it's kind of off the front pages, so to speak, now. So it's up to investigative reporters like myself to keep coming back with new stories that are compelling, and hopefully people will pay attention. But the lack of media coverage is just bad for the citizens there. The Taliban has taken over their airways as well, so they don't really have a free press. They don't have journalists doing anything compelling. It's just talking points like China has.
Okay. Tori Richards with the Washington Examiner. Thank you for your insights, Tori. We appreciate it.
Thank you. No problem. Have a